Hi, everybody. Welcome to Back to Action, our official Power Rangers podcast here at dorkdaily.com. I am ChrisP. I'm here with my good friend Gabe Ribeiro. Today we're going to talk about Power Rangers Season 3, which we recently got finished watching. So if you've missed it, we went through Season 1 and Season 2 already. You can go back and watch this podcast. And so we finally got around to Season 3. And I got to say, I looking back, I mean, it's... Gosh, 20 years?
20 plus.
20 plus years since I've really seen it. I think it was the best season so far. I'd say story-wise.
I was like a lot of the people who were in my age bracket at the time. I don't remember a lot of Season 3 when I watched it until we watched it again when we did our little mini marathons here and there. Because a lot of my peers at the time, we all cut out not long after the movie. I don't know, for whatever reason it wasn't cool to like Power Rangers, because who are we kidding, or whatnot, but it was just, something must have just shifted and we just found it not as interesting. And then, more Saban shows came out and we kind of watched them, and they just all kind of just went aside in their own way too. But there's one that's going to come up in a little bit in the discussion. But, yeah. I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of Season 3 because it doesn't really keep with a status quo for the most part.
See, for me, I think I kept watching after the movie, but I just didn't tell anybody. But I was still fairly devoted to it up until I think the middle of Turbo, which we'll get to maybe we'll get to Turbo. I don't know.
I've been very outspoken about Turbo, but that's for another time.
Yeah. So, but Season 3, you mentioned it didn't really keep with the status quo, and I think you're absolutely right. With the first two seasons we saw, it was sort of the same episode again and again.
I almost want to hit on why I feel like kids thought, hey, maybe they just thought it wasn't cool, but maybe, we'll get to this as well, because this is coming up as well, a review of the 95 Power Rangers movie, but maybe because...
Which, strangely enough, is a version of Season 3, but we'll get into that.
But it's not technically canon, and maybe people are thinking, wait, they're doing this again?
Right. But it does kind of rehash it. It does like a...
But we're starting the season weird, because we were just given new powers and new Zords in the movie, and then when we start the season back up, we're still with the Thunder Zords.
But you don't realize we're with the Thunder Zords until... until the third episode? Because they're at the time, Saban Entertainment was trying to promote a new show called Masked Rider, which is based on another Sentai show or similar to Sentai.
Tokusatsu, yeah. Kamen Rider. It has a long history in Japan. It goes way back, even before Sentai. I think it goes back to like 75. They've made a lot of sister series from it. I don't know if all of them have been very few have been adapted in America.
Did they have him change his suit every season too?
Yeah, vaguely. It's similar. Like it's like how Power Rangers suits are different every season. They slightly change, but it's pretty much the same like bug look. Because
Right.
he looks like an insect.
I wonder if Masked Rider was related to Beetleborgs in some way.
I'm sure there's like some kind of comic book canon, because there's a Power Rangers Masked Riders comic book thing too, but I don't know the canonicity there.
Oh, well, yeah, the comic books. They've always done a lot with that. But anyway, so yeah, we start off with a
3-parter that really drags.
It does drag a little bit. It feel for whatever reason, and this kind of started in Season 2. They got really big into doing these 3-parters that you really felt like it could have been 2 parts at most.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does start off a little bit slow, but then we get introduced to.
Well, we get this footage of Kamen Rider that predates the Zoo Ranger footage of Power Rangers. So this stuff is from like the late 80s.
And you can kind of tell too, like the quality.
So they're going there. They're going to this planet. I don't even remember the name it's called, but that's where the Masked Rider is, and his friends are being enslaved because he's like the prince. And Alpha was built there, right?
Yeah. So Masked Rider's grandfather built Alpha, I believe.
What's Masked Rider's name again?
The
kid. No, all due respect, some people watch the show. I saw a couple episodes. I think you watched a little bit. I think it had 2 seasons. The kid who plays him, I don't know if it was just the same way on Power Rangers, but like he does not sound convincing at all in his role.
This show actually was pretty good. I remember the show, and
was it just because it was action packed?
It wasn't even that. It was sort of it was a little bit like Shazam somewhat, which that's another podcast for another time. But he was in an adoptive family.
Fish out of water story.
Fish out of water.
Yeah.
He was in an adoptive family, and it kind of, well, anyway. it dealt with kind of the same things Power Rangers did, but it was instead, hey, let's focus on the family of this one person, and kind of what they got into in relation to the monsters. And the monster thing is always the same, no matter what show it is.
But enough with Masked Rider. So anyway, the Rangers go to help him on his planet. Kim's sick; she stays behind.
Whoa, Gesundheit. Maybe you caught my flu.
And the Rangers fight a repaint of a monster from season 2, but with original Zord footage again.
Yeah, they literally.
Yeah, they got some American Zord footage of the Thunder Zords because they used up the Sentai footage from Die Ranger, I guess.
That's the biggest change with this season, and that's one of the best parts of the season is you have original American Zord footage.
Yeah.
And in season 2, it was really
clunky because we got clear Megazord footage of a sword going in, but it cuts to the Thunder Megazord fighting a monster that is from completely different Sentai footage, and it just got really clunky after a while. Until we got to the Die Ranger footage of them actually fighting it with either the White Tiger Zord or the Red Dragon or etc.
Right. And we would see the sword go towards the monster,
and it's clearly the Power Sword, not the Thunder.
Not only that, it was just clunky, and the Zord battles were so short. So I think the biggest thing season 3 does is the Zord battles are way better.
At least they are, and also we get, maybe it's just because they have to pad out the episode, but we get the whole sequence, the whole Megazord sequence just seems much longer than the Thunder Zords. They just do Tyrannosaurus, Red Dragon, Thunder Zord, and then they just form the Megazord. But we get the animals running across and etc. But yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting. I mean, they used more from the Sentai a little bit.
Well, do we want to get into how they get the powers in the Zords? Because after that weird Masked Rider 3-parter, we get, is it a 3-parter or a 4-parter?
I think it's a 3-parter. But then I think Ninja Quest is 4.
Yes.
So they go into this. So their Zords get destroyed by Rito. Let's talk about Rito.
I didn't know if it was directly because of Rito and the monsters beating it up, because the implication of the episode sounds like they're just overloading on power. Because
no, they got destroyed.
Because they think we're gonna get to this, but there's a Ranger later who reuses a power.
Bum bum bum.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say who, but it's a power.
We know who it is.
We know who it is. But I don't think they were. I think they were damaged but not destroyed.
In the episode that you're referring to, Power Rangers in Space.
Yes.
Adam comes back
with the Mastodon.
The Mastodon, but Alpha says, I think it's cool 90s Alpha. It's jive talking Alpha.
By then?
I think it was, yeah.
Even in Space? I thought it was just Turbo.
No, I think he went into in Space too.
Oh boy!
But he says the power coins were destroyed, and that
I thought they were just damaged because there's big cracks on it. But it's like a video game that could still potentially work.
But they were basically destroyed. Alpha says they were destroyed.
Yeah, but
anyway, so they get destroyed by the Zords.
So they have no powers.
They have no powers, and we have to talk about Rito a little bit because I think Rito is a great addition.
Rito is great. He is just he's an idiot. He's an idiot, but he has such a cool design because he's like a half camouflage skeleton. And I love how he butts heads with Zed. Because he's essentially Zed's brother-in-law. So you gotta, he's like the Uncle Eddie of Power Rangers.
He's kind of like the Uncle Fester.
Yes, it's even better. And he's he's a great counterpart with Goldar, too. So
he just works, he plays well off all. He plays well off his sister, Rita.
So Rito doesn't come alone because he lands on the moon, to Zed and Rita's palace. And he brings with them the monsters, the foot soldiers from the movie, but they're renamed because of a Fox deal, something with copyright issues from Fox. Whatever. The Tengas, which are just big crow things with armor. I don't think I like the Tengas as much as the Putties, but I like their theme song.
The theme song is one of the best theme songs in Mighty Morphin Power.
Get the Tengas.
It just sticks with you.
Yeah, it's really addicting.
I thought the Cog song was pretty catchy too, but we'll get into that. Yeah. But then, I think by far it was the Tenga song. That's Tenga in the show.
Yeah, it's Tenga's in the show, Tengu in the movie.
Tengu in the movie, okay. But what I like about Rito is he's not only just funny and a goofball, but he actually
he can actually pack a punch.
He really can, and
he's kind of like what Goldar was when he was a kissing ass to Zed. But like the other side. So he was just a dumb moron who was he's a big brutish idiot, essentially.
Yeah, but he gets the job done.
He does because he takes a bunch of monsters down, and either they destroy them or there's an overload of power, whatever. The Thunder Zords are destroyed.
Right.
So
right.
I guess the power coins and the Thunder Zords are.
I guess they were connected.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty dramatic scene where
they just like fall apart and like they're screaming in agony.
Yeah. So I thought that was good, and then so we...
Canonically, this is interesting because we were under the implication for 2 whole seasons that we thought Zordon and Alpha created the power coins, and that is not the case.
Yeah. So apparently they were created by Ninjor.
Which is a shame because in terms of Power Rangers mythology, he could have kept going, but we'll talk about that.
So they have to go... So for the first time, they're replacing the power coins... and I really like that they get this new ninja power.
Which are the ones from the movies.
Ones from the movie. And I
said movies.
When I was a kid, I loved these ninja suits. I thought they were just...
Well, yeah, that's like their precursor morph form because it's like they have like ninja outfits, which is cool.
I thought that was so cool. And when I was a kid, I would write stories, like my own stories all the time. And my stories were inspired a lot by season 3.
And I think that's another thing, too, where they're like, okay... So Saban and company are going to make this show their whole entity, but at least like they're adapting the Sentai stuff right, in a sense, because they're adapting Kaku Ranger, which was the Sentai counterpart, ninja themed. But here's an interesting thing, because we're going to get to that when they come to the Zords. So they get the powers from Ninjor. Essentially, like they get a map from Zordon. The Tengas try to attack them. They make it to the temple, and Ninjor's in a bottle, and they have to let him out. And boy. I love Ninjor, but his voice is absolutely ridiculous. And it's Dudley Do-Right.
You happen to be looking at him. I am the great Ninjor.
That little twerp is the great ninja?
It is Dudley Do-Right, yeah.
Rangers, I have come to save the day.
Yeah, but he also kind of holds up. I mean, he comes to help. He holds his own for the most part.
Yeah, I thought it would only be because of Sentai footage, but he actually has, like, they had brought the suit over to America, so that's cool.
Yeah, so it's so weird. The weirdest thing is that and we talked about this a million times, but they get these new ninja powers. They have the new ninja coins.
So they get their all individual powers. There's 6 Rangers and they have 6 Zords. But this is interesting because in Kaku Ranger they only had 5 Rangers. They didn't have a Pink Ranger. So you guys know the drill. Kimberly gets the crane, Tommy the Falcon, Adam the Frog. Haha, that line from the movie. Rocky gets the ape, Aisha the bear, and Billy the Wolf.
Billy the Wolf,
yes. But they're really cool Zords, and I remember having the toy, and I thought that thing was amazing. I got it for my birthday. But I prefer a specific other Zord that's coming up. But they were really cool Zords, and I'm glad that they adapted them. But then you and I were talking about this. They have new powers and new Zords. They kept the same helmets. So we're on our 3rd set of Zords here, and they're not even remotely dinosaurs anymore, but they still have dinosaur helmets.
Yeah. And, I guess... I think as a kid I didn't think too much about it, but I guess maybe...
I don't know if Saban said, hey, we don't want to change the helmets because we can't adapt the Sentai because they only have 5 Rangers. Couldn't you just change the helmets at least?
No, I think they just...
They wanted to keep the Mighty Morphin brand.
They wanted to keep the Mighty Morphin brand one more season. But, I thought as a kid, well, maybe like these power coins are powering the old suits. Maybe that's what it is. You know what I mean?
It's the best explanation you can give as to why they have dinosaur helmets for animals. But
I don't know. But yeah, I mean they're like, hey, it's working. Let's not mess up with works. And so the rest of the season
is pretty story heavy. We don't get a lot of fillers.
We really don't. Yeah, I mean
and the filler we get is kind of lousy. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a long narrative. What are some major things that happen in this season?
Well, there's like a big setup. Okay, so. And it's clearly hinted at even in the filler episodes that are after Rito and they get the ninja powers. Oh, we gotta talk real quickly about the ninja suits though, because they seem to have different abilities that are at times even more powerful or more unique than their ranger powers. Because like I remember one where Adam just became a giant and tried to have like a tenga in his hand, and then they disappear or they swap out their costumes.
They can disappear. They can jump like they can almost like teleport.
They can breathe underwater. Apparently, there's one thing where they're at the lake. I'm like, what? They're just making this up as they go along, aren't they?
But that I thought that was cool. They kind of made it. They kind of broke up the monotony.
I love how they segue out of them too. They do this thing like they're ripping them off and they're back in their civilian clothes.
Yeah,
it's like a funny little like wipe. It's hilarious. So the next big story beat is they tease it early on, but like Kimberly's like real hardcore into gymnastics, and she's like that gymnastics coach comes to Angel Grove, and we get an introduction of what I assume is this guy's favorite character because he gushes over all the time, throwing him under the bus. We get an introduction to Kat, who's like an Australian teen who just moved to Angel Grove, but we find out she's working for Rita and Zed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they try to do a little bit of the Green Ranger story arc again, a little bit.
Yeah, except that Kat seems to be nice to the Rangers, where Tommy was just a jerk to them.
Well, I guess they kind of learned their lesson in the first time around.
No, and the Rangers actually seem more intelligent this time around. They're like, I swear there's a couple episodes where they're like, hey, do you think this is Rita and Zed? I'm like, oh my god, they're not writing them to be morons.
I know, like every time somebody was a jerk in season 1 or 2. It's like,
how many times are we going to have like evil Billy? They're like, they finally just like, Billy's acting strangely. I'm like, do you think it's Rita and Zed? I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, they did. Hey, season 3. Well, maybe like
they finally got their act together.
They finally got their act together.
And yet, oddly enough, as we'll explore with characters, the Rangers are still the least interesting characters on the show.
So Bulk and Skull.
Bulk and Skull are great this season.
This is their season to shine.
They had some great moments in season 2, but yeah.
They did, but I think the fact that they try to better themselves
essentially become good guys this season instead of like a gray area. Because
they do, because they become...
Was it the Masked Rider multi-parter, or was it the Ninja Quest one where they became... So essentially they originally do it because they want to pick up chicks, as they said.
Well, they become junior police officers of Angel Grove, and they do it in Ninja Quest. I think in the Masked Rider one, they're still trying to get the Rangers.
Oh, that's right, because they try to set up an attack in a park and these two girls show up. That's right.
It's still carryover from season 2 a little bit.
Yeah.
But they decide they're going to go into the police academy. We introduce Lieutenant Stone, who's a great foil to Bulk and Skull.
Yeah, he hangs around for a while.
Yeah.
He's essentially like mild-mannered police Ernie.
He is. He's like the third, and he becomes Ernie later.
Yeah.
In Turbo.
Yeah.
But he works really well as a foil for Bulk and Skull. And
because it's like weird. He's like, he must see some. We don't get a lot about this Lieutenant Stone. We don't know much about him other than he's just the guy who has to be like their superior. But I have to think that he sees something in them because they just screw up every time in front of him. But he still like gets them to do stuff for him. Like they need to wash the mayor's car. Oh no, that was their punishment. They had to wash the mayor's car because they thought the mayor stole stuff.
Right. And you know what I love is that we see the relationship between Bulk and Skull and the Rangers develop, where they actually, you know, when they started in season 1, they were the bullies, but now they're actually friends. And
you and I are thinking of that same episode, aren't we?
Well, I'm thinking of a couple. The first one I'm thinking of is when they graduate the police academy, and
and the Rangers are there.
All the Rangers show up, and they're so happy for them, and it's like a really sweet moment.
I'm so proud of Bulk and Skull.
Yeah, we all are.
Oh, I do remember the episode where this is a filler episode, but Adam is learning about his his heritage, and his like great uncle or something gave him a lantern, but it went missing because Rita and Zed went corrupted as a monster, and Bulk and Skull got the lantern back for him. It was cool.
Yeah. There's also another episode that I really enjoyed. It's when it's a love potion episode.
Yeah, there's 2 reasons that we love this episode.
Because you find out that
Goldar's really mad because he knows the truth about Rita corrupting Zed to marry.
He finds out that episode.
Yeah, and he forces Finster to make an antidote, but all the while they have this like love potion thing that this monster's spraying around Angel Grove, and Lieutenant Stone and Mr. Kaplan are flirting with Miss Appleby, and Kimberly's flirting with Skull. And she doesn't know any better, and we're rooting for Skull here, even though we know better. But then after the potion wears off,
my heart broke for Skull.
Skull was so let down, and it was really sad. But at the very end, they have one of their random teen community dance things at the juice bar, and she dances with Skull, and it's really nice.
She asked them to dance, and it was a really sweet. I love those little human moments in Power Rangers where it just didn't seem like it was the paint by numbers kind of thing.
But I gotta say, you know what's even better about that episode? Is that when Finster uses that antidote, it doesn't work on Zed, which means Zed loves Rita.
Maybe old Ed really does love Rita.
Right, yeah.
And they are great this season. For one thing, they clearly love each other, they're clearly working together, and their plans are, save for a couple stupid filler episodes, are really good. They have the Rangers number a lot this season. Okay, so they worked separately on different seasons. When they finally started working together, I felt like that's when people criticize Rita and Zed, but man, they work so well together.
I think Rita was pretty good the first season, where she really almost had them a few times, and Zed was kind of okay. But I think Rita is kind of the the key that works here. I think she's sort of the.
Of course, we
key
do make
element.
Zed into like, I swear he's Mr. Dad jokes in this season. I swear his one-liners are ridiculous. They're funny, but man, you're just like, man, when they introduced Zed, he was just pure. I mean, he's still evil, but like it's just.
But you look forward to you.
Like what's the one-liner that Zed's gonna crack this week? He did a lot of them. I'm like, wow.
Well, it's great seeing him and Rito play off each other, and Rito keeps calling him Ed.
Keeps calling him Ed, which is coincidentally the name of the suit actor, right?
The suit actor, yeah.
This takes so many actors just to make the villains, voice actors and suits.
And everybody really gets great moments, in the season. And
yeah, I mean, even the Rangers. Well, actually, I'd say the Rangers, even in their filler episodes, they all have pretty good like solo episodes. Kim especially gets like a whole storyline. I mean, we probably have to like dissect it because there's like a bunch of different things that go on.
So, I think really what Saban did was they did not want to have a repeat of the previous season where just 3 Rangers.
Well, Amy Jo Johnson wanted to leave, and I think she gave them enough notice, and there wasn't this whole thing where like we're fighting over unions and whatnot.
Well, they wrote her off in a really good way, and it was in an interesting way, and I think
it also works with the Sentai.
And they brought Kat in, and Kat's only the Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger for
like 7-8 episodes,
and
something like that. But she's in there for a while. But mostly just as herself.
Some of those are like 3 parters.
Yeah.
So there's really only a couple story arcs with her as as Mighty Morphin.
So let's see. We got to sum this up quick. So Kat comes in, and Zed and Rita seem to have like this brilliant plan that pans out over like 10 episodes or so. So Finster finds out that there's dormant Zords, and Zed can steal one of the power coins to be the source of the power for the Zords. And Goldar's sent out there as a distraction to fight Tommy. And in the meantime, Kat steals the Falcon Zord because she sneaks in somehow. And they take Ninjor hostage. And it's
a pretty good plan because Ninjor is hostage for quite a few episodes. And so is the Falcon Zord.
Yeah. So they send Kimberly out there to fight some Tengas, and Kat steals her power coin. And Kimberly's without power, but I think they can use stuff from the Morphing Grid.
The Morphing Grid.
The Morphing Grid is so... they never explain what it is.
The Morphing Grid is essentially the Power Rangers version of a wizard did it.
Well, whenever you notice something like that, a wizard did it.
I see. All right, yes. But in episode AG4...
Wizard.
For Glaben out.
Yeah, it's a write-off.
Pretty much.
It's a cop-out. But we get one of the coolest moments ever outside of like Zed's like dad jokes, and I remember it when I was a kid because I do remember I was like, whoa! It was the one where Zed invades the command center,
right?
And it's legit. It's a legit.
It's a cool scene. It's
especially for little kids.
It's a scary scene.
It is,
yeah.
But so Zed's like bargain is he's like, to keep Kimberly alive, you guys have to pilot my Zords. And they have to agree to it. But Tommy goes in there, and we get a Tommy and Zed fight that's pretty good, too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unique stuff here. Like, this is the only time we see Zed fight.
We don't often see the villains go hand-to-hand combat with the Rangers, and that was really cool to see that.
Yeah.
I know King Mondo does later, but but Zed was the first one, and I thought that was... And it's a good fight. Even Zed is like... he makes fun of the fact that Tommy says hi-ya.
Like, oh, I can do hi-yas too.
Are those hi-yas really necessary? Here, I'll do some.
Yeah. And it's a pretty cool fight.
Yeah, it's a good fight. Yeah, and the Shogun Zords are awesome.
I love the Shogun Zords. They're like arguably my second favorite Megazord next to the original. They're so cool. I love their morphing sequence. They're essentially just big humanoids, and they have a flaming sword that just make like a big Shogun Zord. It's amazing. I love that.
Would have liked to have seen more of the Shogun Zord.
Can we talk about this though, since we've already covered both Zords? I don't know where this idea came from. It must have come from like one of the Saban's crew's kids or something, and they must have suggested it so after like the Ninja Megazord toy came out. But for whatever reason, out of the blue, they bring Titanus back, and they form the Ultra Zord with the Ninja Megazord and the Shogun Megazord. And it's the toys.
It's clearly toys.
Even so much, you can see it in the opening credits, and the American Shogun Zord toy, at the time when they released it, had a pink arm. It's supposed to be white. They didn't have a pink Ranger and Kako Ranger.
I think we had that. I think my brother and I had that growing up.
That's what a Ninjor. Like Ninjor has like a larger Zord form, kind of.
I like when Ninjor turns into, I don't know what he is, like super ninja.
He's like a samurai ninja or something.
And his head like flips like a toy.
And he's got like a double katana thing.
Yeah, and we had that toy too. We had the ninja toy that turned into that.
So essentially they pilot the Shogun Zords, they fight Zed's monster, which I don't remember what the monster was.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they're gonna keep Kimberly. Oh, and then they release more toys because the Rangers get like an adaptation of the motorcycles from the Sentai called Shark Cycles, and it's just an excuse. They're in one episode where Kimberly gets abducted by an evil cab.
Oh, right, yeah.
Bulk and Skull are there too, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, it wasn't that great of an episode.
So they Master Vile shows up.
Well, we don't have Kim's exit.
Okay, so we have.
So essentially, they want to. They have the power coin, and how do they get it? I forget.
How do they get it from Zed?
Zed and Rita, yeah.
I think
that's what it is. You know what it is? They said that they were going to.
You always interrupt me.
Sorry, no.
They sneak into Zed's palace and get it back.
They want Rita and Zed want the Rangers to hand over Cat because they said they were going to do something to Ninjor and throw him in a pit or something. That's what it was. And
they try to make Cat evil again, and
yeah, and she just essentially steals the power coin, and they get it back. But all the while, that's what it is. Kimberly gets, she's been like doing her gymnastics like crazy, and that coach comes down and offers her it, and she says that she doesn't want to give up her Ranger duties. But the Rangers are all like, yeah, you should do it. This is like a big deal, etc. But then like she falls off a balance beam and hits her head, and Kat takes her to the hospital, and the Rangers forgive Kat. She gets the pink power coin, and she's the Ranger. We're not doing it justice because it was a really good send off for Kim.
It is a really good send off, and it's a great.
Probably the best Ranger send off we're gonna get.
It's a great introduction to Kat too.
Yeah.
So that I think that was handled very well. And I think that was a response to season 2 and just how clunky that was with the stand-ins and the silhouettes and the bad voice imitators.
Man. That was really bad.
Zordon, we can't leave now.
The peace conference is tomorrow. It was bad. It was bad. The one guy who did Jason, give me your power coins. I'm like, whoa, that is terrible. But yeah, Master Vile, you said.
Master Vile shows up. So Master Vile
also butts heads with Zed.
Every time like somebody new arrives on the moon, it's Earthquake. That's how they explain everything in Power Rangers. Oh, Earthquake. So Master Vile shows up, and he really puts up a pretty big fight with the Rangers. I mean, he almost. I mean, we're talking the first 3 episodes. He almost destroys them.
If it weren't for the Shogun Zords multi-parter, this would be the best multi-parter of the season.
Yeah,
and it loses a lot of points for one big reason, and you and I talked.
I think I know what it is.
Yeah,
it's the metallic armor.
It's the metallic armor. Metallic armor, power up! So Zordon and Alpha get word that Master Vile showed up. Master Vile is Rito and Rita's father. He's the big bad from the Sentai. He's got a really cool design. I don't even know what he is, really. He's just an alien.
He's the main bad guy of
that
Sentai, yeah. Which I thought was a really interesting way to introduce elements of Kaku Ranger in this season.
Which, oddly enough, Rito and Master Vile, their counterparts, are still father and son in Japan.
But I love how they mix it with the already established Zoo Ranger continuity.
Yeah.
And I
we still have dinosaur helmets.
Yeah, but you still have Rita and Zed.
And just
Goldar. And Goldar. I know Zed's an original American creation. Yeah. But it just was interesting how they had to sort of interweave 3 different Sentais at this point.
Yeah.
And they did it really well. I mean, they did it very, very well.
So, Zordon says, I have this new armor for you guys. And if this isn't an excuse to buy toys, I don't know what is. And I looked it up.
But he loves toys, as you can see.
Yeah, but this is really stupid. So they get sent down there and they're fighting the Tengas, and they turn on their metallic armor. It's just their suits with glitter on it. And for some reason it makes them go faster, even though it's metal and that should be heavy.
I thought the ninja suits made them go faster.
No, well they probably do that too, but the metallic armor was just what? Thanks, toys.
So Master Vile shows out, and he almost destroys the world because we have a great end of the world party.
He sends down this monster who can absorb power, and he steals power from Ninjor first, right? Mm-hmm. And then he steals some power from the Rangers. This is a really good monster, and it's a great fight.
This is the Globber.
Yeah, the blue Globber. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's actually a pretty scary monster.
Yeah, he can steal a lot of power, and Zed and Master Vile are butting heads. Rito trips and drops the jar that they have Ninjor in. Ninjor escapes, but in the midst of doing that, he hears Master Vile talk about the Zeo Crystal. And if you didn't know anything about the upcoming season, you're like, oh, so another Power Rangers item of the week.
Yeah, no, at that point, we really didn't know what.
Yeah, because they're always
was.
Introducing some random weapon or something that they have for like an episode.
Infinity Stone.
Yeah,
whatever.
something like that. So the Rangers want to get the Zeo Crystal because it's hidden in the palace, right? But nobody can touch it with bad hearts.
It's hidden below the palace, and it has a smell on it. And apparently that's
so
how
Tommy goes down.
That's how Zed looks the way he looks. Apparently,
yeah.
He tried to get the Zeo Crystal once, and look what happened to Zeddy's face.
Very funny, Rita.
They send Kat there to distract Rita and Zed while Tommy goes in to take the crystal. There's like this whole hallucination thing with the Green Ranger and stuff, but Tommy takes the crystal. But then
we don't have to summarize the whole thing. We can like.
Well, this is important. This is Zeo Crystal.
We can comment. Well, anyway, all right, go on.
Long story short, after a battle with the Globber, he like absorbs their power and their stupid their toy armor doesn't work. And
you just hate that metallic armor.
It's dumb. It's really stupid.
Yeah.
And essentially, Master Vile takes the Zeo Crystal, and because it's supposed to be the Zeo Crystal is just like infinite power, and it's apparently an energy generator because it just keeps getting powerful with more time. Which I'm like, well, all right, well the Rangers could use that, but he takes the crystal and he has an end of the world party. At the juice bar.
At the juice bar attached to the high school.
Man, look around you guys. Master Vile's making everybody dance till they drop.
Yeah, Master Vile's gonna start the destruction ceremony soon. Man, those guys are cutting it way too close.
And he has kids as waiters and
Bulk and Skull are there.
Skull are doing the conga.
And Rito's got like silly string and Master Vile's like talking to the microphone. Is this thing on? I'm like, wow. If Power Rangers didn't get more ridiculous. So,
but that was the closest they got to destroying the world, and
in Mighty Morphin, no. Well, anyway, we get a truly amazing Zord fight with Master Vile and the Globber in the third part of the episode.
I was just going to mention Master Vile's theme is really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
It's like this organ.
They always have good music. It's almost like the Toccata music. I'm doing the wrong thing.
That is the wrong. No, it's like organ type music.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Dracula kind of.
Yeah, but the Rangers get the Zeo Crystal back. They break it into pieces and they separate it over time.
Which, by the way, I do want to mention that this is the most powerful thing in the universe, apparently.
Yeah,
and it like they should have said, "Oh, this will last us about a season."
Yeah, but
oh man.
Yeah, we don't have many more episodes until the end of the season because after Master Vile shows up,
so they reverse time again.
Master Vile has like some orb he plants in the ground. The Rangers can't stop it, and they get turned into little kids again.
Now we have the sub-season, the Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, and I liked it.
It's on one hand they can use a lot of Sentai footage because the Alien Rangers have the Cocker Ranger voices, but there's a lot of, it's when you're a little kid, you don't want to see the little it's cool to see interesting stuff like that, but it's I know it's only 10 episodes, but as a kid I remember seeing a little bit of this. I'm like, when are they going to become the adult Rangers again?
See, I like the anticipation because you bring in these cool Ranger costumes we haven't seen before,
and they're great. I love them.
Great Power Ranger costumes.
I don't know why they felt the need to call them Alien Rangers. They're clearly ninjas.
Right.
They're clearly ninjas.
Well, they're Water Rangers, man.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I thought it was cool to bring them in and just and have sort of your bring in your Sentai footage as well as having the kids go on the quest and kind of what bummed me out. I thought that the quests the kids went on were pretty cool, but I'm like, didn't we just do a quest for powers? I felt like we just saw that.
Yeah, I mean, we had to set up the next season. So.
And that's part of we'll get into this later with a future podcast. We always complain about Turbo not really having an introduction of the powers, but if you really think about it, I mean, they went through this several times, and would it really been repetitive?
Well, apparently, didn't they also say that the Alien Rangers got their powers from Ninjor too?
I think so.
So there you go. Ninjor created a bunch of Mighty Morphin teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, the Alien Rangers, they come to Earth to help the Rangers, but they need to stay hydrated a lot, and I don't know why the command center doesn't just stock up on water or something.
Well, also, there's something wrong with the water on Earth. Which, what else is new?
Also, so after Master Vile plants that orb in the ground, they say it's time travel, but it can't be in terms of logic and the plot. I know we're not looking for logic in Power Rangers, but
yeah, really.
I think it's just age manipulation because there's a science teacher they established early in the season. He does not age, but Lieutenant Stone goes back to a kid, as do Bulk and Skull. So I don't think it's a time travel
we
thing.
have like Aisha, Rocky, and Adam who didn't live in Angel Grove. Or
They're not supposed to be there. Cat's
Cat.
not.
Yeah.
Tommy. I don't think Tommy's even supposed to be there technically.
I guess not. Yeah.
I don't know how long he was living in Angel Grove, but they said he was a new kid. Also, they're like, so we're like, oh, time travel has happened, so Ninja can't help because you haven't discovered the temple, but the Alien Rangers can use the Shogun swords. And don't just say Sentai footage. I get it.
A wizard did it.
A wizard did it.
A wizard did it.
So Billy finds a way, and Billy has a lot of great moments.
Yeah, he has like some gizmo he makes that,
or he makes himself an adult again, and you wonder like, what about Billy's parents? Did they think he just like disappeared?
Yeah, it's age manipulation. It can't be time travel.
I don't know. But
can we talk about this too?
I do want to say I did like that the Power Rangers had to adjust to being kids, and I thought it was interesting. I thought it was hey, here's a new angle. It was different, and I liked it.
And we also saw Billy as a de facto leader for a couple episodes.
Yeah,
in a sense, he had a couple good moments this season. They all kind of did, except for that episode where Tommy had that monster that just kept making him want to eat.
Oh, with that terrible green screen, and he's like
bad.
in his.
It was in his stomach.
The
I was like, are they gonna
monster?
have Tommy poop out the monster?
I don't know. They're Power Rangers. They don't poop.
Can we? There's one thing that I looked at you and I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. So if we're gonna say it's time travel, which they're saying it was, the Earth is at a different point in time, so the Rangers can't teleport to the command center because the power's cut off or something. But it's because Alpha unplugged the command center's control panel to run a vacuum. Do you remember that?
Well, because
that was so stupid.
Because apparently at that point in time, 10 years ago,
or whatever it was,
they were doing spring cleaning,
and we had to unplug the control panel to vacuum.
I don't believe this. All this time, our power outage has been due not to a sinister force, but to a simple household appliance. Is that true?
I'm afraid so, Zordon.
Because the Alien Rangers just essentially show up, they fight a couple of Master Vile's monsters, and then he just has a hissy fit and leaves. Like, he has like a really cool introduction, and then he just leaves.
He's literally on the floor throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
It was a foolproof plan. Why? Oh, whoopsie daisy, Daddy. Come on, don't take it so hard.
Rowa, you're supposed to be the adult around here. Now stop it. You're embarrassing me.
And then Rita and Zed kind of half steal his idea because the Rangers are all on a quest to get their specific parts of the Zeo Crystal. In the meantime, they're just hoping that they can keep the Alien Rangers, like, defeated so that the Rangers can't come back. Or if they do, like, the planet will just not be hydrated. And they also send Goldar and Rito under the ground, under the command center to blow it up.
Yeah, which that goes on way too long.
Yeah, that's too many episodes. It's funny, though. They're a little dynamic.
It's funny.
They rip the map in half, and they're going in separate directions.
They made them really stupid.
They made Goldar especially stupid.
That was so out of character.
It was. Because, Goldar was just, like, the right-hand man in the first season, and now he's just an idiot.
But they get the Zeo Crystals, and again, I mentioned I love the quests that they go on to.
Yeah, they're split up into a couple episodes.
They discover more about themselves and their family history, and again, I think season 3 took a lot of risks because it wasn't the paint by numbers that the last season was, and I thought it paid off. I mean, I think to me,
Kat met two versions of herself in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Oh, there's something we have to talk about too. Remember this for a future installment. Tommy meets up with this Native American man where his roots are supposed to be and linked with the Zeo Crystal, and he gives him an arrowhead at the end of the Zeo quest. Pay attention to that.
That'll be
that's something that pays off later.
So the Power Rangers get the crystals. They make themselves.
Well, the Power Rangers,
again.
with the exception of one.
Right. So Aisha leaves. She finds her family.
Zordon says, he's just like, when we restore the Zeo Crystal, your family's going to join you. She stays in Africa to help a tribe with sick animals because apparently she's a veterinarian.
She wants to be. Well, she worked at the animal shelter. That's how they found Kat.
But they also said that scientists failed doing that, and Aisha can.
I don't know. Well, remember last season Aisha figured out a way to fix the transmitter because she worked at Radio Shack or something.
Is that what she said?
I don't know. It wasn't Radio Shack, but it was kind of.
It was Angel Grove's Radio Shack
or Angel Grove's radio station or something.
Something like that.
So Aisha's pretty bright. I was kind of bummed. I felt like we didn't. Really
she kind of just got shoved aside.
And I read later that and Karen Ashley, I've talked to her over email. She's very kind. As is, so I've talked to Karen Ashley, David Yost.
David Yost liked one of my Instagram posts about Power Rangers. Thanks, David.
Catherine Sutherland, I've interacted with on Facebook. I'm trying to think, and Bulk, I've interacted with Bulk.
I still want to meet Johnny Young Bosch, but
Bulk. I shouldn't say Bulk. I should say Paul Schreier.
He's Bulk.
I interacted with Paul Schreier.
Yeah.
But I guess so. I guess the point of the season is that it was very memorable.
Yeah. So they get the Zeo crystals, they reform them, but then Tanya, the girl that replaces Aisha, she stays at the command center with Billy and Zordon and Alpha, so she can get a 5-minute history on Power Rangers, while the other Rangers congratulate the Alien Rangers after they defeat a big time Sentai villain. I feel like, because in story they say he's Aquitar, their planet's version of Zed and Rita.
I think he must have just been one of Master Vile's monsters in the Sentai.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we totally forgot about this, too. Not long into the Alien Rangers saga, Zed and Rita destroy the power coins. And it's a big deal. I forgot about that. So when Billy becomes an adult, they get, cornered by Goldar and Rito, and Zed and Rita just take the power coins and just destroy them. And you're like, oh, crap. So that's why they have to go...
You're like, man, this is serious stuff.
Yeah, and that's why they had to go to get the Zeo Crystal. Because, Zordon says that's going to be their source of their powers. But it's just Zed and Rita, again, getting another win.
But I like that there was so much at stake this season, and you really did feel on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
Throughout, I think, the entire thing, and I would still argue, writing-wise, it's the best season of Mighty Morphin by far.
I mean, just the cliffhanger alone. They restore the Zeo Crystal, Goldar and Rito steal it, the Rangers come back, Command Center blows up, Rangers are just teleported out of there just in time.
And Alpha and Zordon might be dead.
Yeah, they were screaming.
But they're not.
Zordon! Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, it's pretty emotional.
It is. When you're a little kid,
do you remember that part in... Because they tried to blow up the command center a couple times, and Alpha says he's going to go out there and take care of it because they're still kids, and then...
that's the first time where Master Vile has that long bomb with a long fuse, and Rito accidentally puts it out or something.
Because you think it might as well have said Acme on the side of it, but Aisha, the little kid Aisha, says, "Alpha, we love you." It's so sweet, and so there's a lot of great moments in this season.
You come to love a robot and a head in a tube.
This season, honestly, is what really got me excited about writing when I was a kid.
I mean, that, and I know you love those ninja suits.
Well, yeah, I was very inspired by season 3 in my writing.
We also get a very interesting distinction of this scene, too, because in the last 2 seasons, we just get, a bunch of jump cuts of Megazord formations or whatever. This season, at the end credits, we get a whole blooper reel. It starts from here on, and a lot of them are Bulk and Skull oriented, and they're just hilarious. Their dynamic is so great.
You could just tell that they wanted to put it in the episode and they couldn't.
Yeah. What's another one where Zed and Rita are having a fiesta in the palace with everybody, and they all have what is it? Squad has a big sombrero, and Rita has maracas, and they have a big taco. It's amazing. But yeah, season 3, wholly great. Great end of the Mighty Morphin era.
You want to talk about your least favorite episode?
My 2 least favorite episodes. There's actually a string. There's at least 4 episodes in this season. That's only 43 episodes after we had 60 and 52, respectively, that don't have Zord Fat battles. One actually technically does. But, okay. I'm going to talk about this one because it gets a lot of hate. But I think you will defend it because...
I'm going to guess what it is.
It's the Christmas episode.
Dreaming of a White Ranger.
The Rangers have to go to the North Pole to fight Rito because he's holding Santa Claus hostage, but they can't morph. So they throw snowballs at Goldar and Rito.
And they win.
Yeah. And Tommy and Kim kiss under the mistletoe. There actually is a really sweet moment with that little girl that sits on Bulk's lap and asks for her parents to show up to the
Bulk
because
Bulk
is Santa. That's pretty cool. But otherwise, I mean, it's better than Alpha's Magical Christmas. But it's not good.
Did you say that? But I'll be honest, this is what I wanted Alpha's Magical Christmas to be.
Not just the Rangers showing up the last 2 minutes to sing with some kids.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Kat is using a chimp to teach sign language for a project for school. She has some connections with somebody. But anyway, Rita corrupts the monster, and he's sitting by some banana stand or something with a Rastafarian guy, puts a wig and glasses and a mop on him, and they turn into a big monster. They send the Shogun Zords out. They decide not to fight it, and they just tap it or something with an antidote. It is really terrible. It's awful. Don't watch it. I don't remember what the name of the episode is, but I think it was
The one thing
it's right before the Master Vile episode.
The one thing this season is they couldn't keep track of their animals. So when cat's a cat, like they just leave the door open all the time and the cat gets out.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't keep track of the orangutan. So but anyway,
Is
so
that what it was? I thought it was a chimp. Doesn't matter.
I don't remember. But aside from, there's only like a couple episodes that are like, but everything else I think is
it was all storyline
solid.
Yeah.
Really good season, very memorable. Definitely my favorite.
And then there's a big change to the franchise coming up because they're gonna go Zeo.
Stronger than before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm stoked because I haven't seen a lot of Zeo in a while. And there's some stuff coming up that I really like. And
we will see you next time for our review, our retrospect on Zeo. We'll see you back to action. We'll see you back to action next time when we cover Power Rangers Zeo.
May the power protect you.
See ya.